Let truth arise, voices bold, faith alive, relevant words for such a time, empowered hearts, aligned in Christ.
Hello and welcome to Unmute the Mic, where conversations really matter. And this is our very first episode. And welcome, I'm Dr. Rita Reneé. Our August theme is going to be from silence to significance. And we're going to talk about the cost of living on mute. Now, you can be highly accomplished and still be living on mute. You can lead a meeting, build businesses, serve the ministry, support everybody else's vision, and still struggle to say what you need. And sometimes living on mute, it sounds like, oh, I'm fine. I don't want to make a big deal about that. Maybe this is not the right time. Or I'll wait until I feel more confident. And sometimes the loudest silence is the truth that you keep swallowing so everyone else can remain comfortable. The silence may feel safe in the moment, but eventually it sends you an invoice. And today we're talking about the cost of living on mute. Welcome to Unmute the Mic, where real conversations that matter, that are relevant, empowering, authentic, lasting, and legacy building. I'm Dr. Rita Reneé, and I started Unmute the Mic because I know what it means to be strong and accomplished, dependable, and still find yourself muted in certain rooms. And so my work has always been centered around helping women come off mute, out of the shadows, off the sidelines, and in the rooms that require their voice. So this podcast is not about being louder. It's about becoming clearer and more courageous and more intentional with the voice you have already. And for the month of August, our theme is from silence to significance. So, Powerhouse, let's get right into it. So, what does it actually mean to live on mute? Living on mute is not always about being quiet, and sometimes it is about being having those repeated decisions to reduce or edit, delay, dismiss what you really think you need, want, or know because you are afraid of what will happen if you say it. You may be afraid of rejection, conflict, being misunderstood. You may be afraid of someone that will call you difficult or selfish or emotional, arrogant, or too much. But sometimes fear does not look like fear. Sometimes it looks like patience. We call it humility. We call it keeping the peace. We call it waiting for the right time or just being supportive. And there's nothing wrong with patience, humility, or supporting others. But healthy humility does not require self reassurance or erasing yourself. Keeping the peace does not mean repeatedly betraying yourself. And supporting someone else, it does not mean abandoning your own assignment. You can be present in the room and still be absent from your own life. And that is where I want this conversation to begin because before we can come off mute, you first have to recognize where you have been turning your own volume down. And then you come more direct. And this is where the teaching starts. You start to learn that silence can be learned, silence can be rewarded, silence can cost. But I want more for you. I want you to be able to come off mute and not be ashamed. I want you to be able to come off mute and be authentically you. I want you to come off mute and know that your voice actually matters. Here's another reason why coming off mute can feel difficult. Sometimes silence gets rewarded. People may call you dependable because you never say no, strong because you never ask for help, humble because you never acknowledge your accomplishments, loyal because you stay in place, in the same places that continue to drain you time after time after time. Easy to work with because you rarely challenge anything. Selfless because you constantly place yourself last. But sometimes we need to ask a harder question. Where did you learn that from? Are you celebrating the character or were they celebrating benefiting from your silence? Think about it. That may be uncomfortable, but this is Unmute the Mic, and we have real conversations. And there are people who genuinely love you, and there may be also people who have become so very comfortable with how available you are, comfortable with you always saying yes, comfortable with you caring more than your share, comfortable with you're not questioning the pattern. And sometimes people don't miss your voice, they just miss the access your silence gave them. And so now that doesn't mean that everybody has bad intentions, but it does mean that you have to become honest about the patterns you have helped maintain. Your silence communicates something. It communicates that my time is always available. My needs can wait. My contribution does not need recognition. You can make decisions that affect me without including me. You can cross the boundary because I probably will not name it anyway. I probably will not say it anyway. This is not about blaming yourself. This is about reclaiming responsibility. Blame says everything is my fault. Responsibility says I may have created an entire situation, but I can choose what I do next. And that is powerful. Now, we get to the heart of today's conversation. Silence has cost. Avoiding an uncomfortable conversation may give you a temporary relief, but unsolved silence rarely disappears. It often becomes resentment, exhaustion, distance, confusion, missed opportunities. And sometimes the private disappointment of knowing you abandon yourself may avoid telling someone you need help. So you continue to carry everything alone. And maybe you avoid stating your fee so your expertise continues to be unvalued. Maybe you do not apply for the opportunity because you don't feel that you're completely ready. And maybe you avoid the boundary because you don't want someone to be disappointed. Or you may be hiding your story because you are afraid how people will judge you. But while you are calculating what speaking might cost, you have calculated what remaining silent is already costing you. Silence may feel free, but eventually it sends you an invoice that can show up in lost opportunities, weak boundaries, exhaustion, resentment, and years of wondering, what if I could did it earlier? What would have happened if I've spoken? But there's another cost. It is not only what you lose when you remain silent, it's what somebody else may never receive because you never fully showed up. And somebody needs to hear the lesson you learned. Somebody needs the strategy you developed. They need that book that has not been written. They need that business that you have been so afraid to start. And somebody needs a conversation that you are qualified to lead. They need to see what it looks like when a woman or a man can communicate clearly without becoming cruel. Somebody needs to see that person lead without apologizing for their voice and their opportunity and authority. Your voice is not connected just to serve you. Your voice is connected to impact, to lead, and to connect to a legacy. For some of us, there comes a time and a point when hiding is no longer humility. It becomes a refusal to fully step into what we have been called to carry. So, what I want to ask you, I want to ask this one question. Is it in your workplace or your business or your marriage, your family, your ministry, your friendship? Is it when you walk into the room with people who have bigger titles? Is that where you're living on mute? Is it when you need to say no? Is it when you need to say, that hurts me? I disagree. I need help. I would like to consider, or I am ready. You may not be silent everywhere. That is important, but you may have no problem to advocate for your children or your team, your friend or organization, but you have to advocate for yourself. Can you defend your own time, your own value? Can you communicate what you need? Can you say, I am no longer available for this pattern? That may be where the work needs to begin. So here is your exercise for the week. I call it mute map. You cannot unmute what you refuse to identify. So I want you to ask yourself, where do I feel most muted? Name the room, name the relationship or the situation, and then ask, what am I afraid will happen if I honestly speak up? Is it rejection, conflict, losing approval, being misunderstood? Then ask, what has remained in me to keep me silent? And how has it cost me already? Peace, time, money, confidence, and opportunity, trusting in yourself. And then finally, the question I want you to ask is, what is the one sentence I need to say? Not speech, but one sentence. And maybe it's, I'm not available. I need more support. I would like to consider my fee is, that's very important. I do not agree. I need time before I answer. I am ready. I cannot continue to carrying this alone. Write that sentence down and then say it out loud. Your voice may shake a little bit in the beginning. You may feel uncomfortable, but that does not automatically mean that the sentence is wrong. Sometimes your voice shakes simply because you have never exercised it in a room before. A trembling voice is still a voice. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to do something with that. I want you to identify that your voice does not become stronger because you think about using it. It becomes stronger when you use it. And within that first 72 hours, I want you to take one clear, responsible action. I want you to send that email, ask that question, state that boundary, request the opportunity, tell someone what you need. Say no, say yes. Use the sentence. You are not trying to change your whole life in 72 hours. You're just simply interrupting one pattern of self silencing, one decision, one conversation, one courageous step. And before we close, remember these three things. Silence can be learned. What you protect, what used to protect you before, may be limiting you now. The second thing is silence can be rewarded. People may become comfortable with a version of you that never asks for anything. And then finally, silence has a cost. It can cost you peace, opportunity, connections, confidence, and trust in yourself. Your challenge is simple. Complete your mute map and use one necessary sentence within 72 hours. Powerhouse, your clarity is not cruelty. Your boundaries are not betrayal. Your accomplishments do not require an apology. Your needs are not automatically an inconvenience. And your voice is not an interruption. The room does not need a smaller version of you, it needs the clearest, healthiest, and the most courageous version of you. And so this month, we are moving from silence to significance. And the first step is recognizing where you have been turning down your own volume. So, in our next up and coming episode, in our next conversation, we're going to go deeper. We're going to talk about own it. Your story is not a liability and learning how to turn what you lived through into wisdom that can serve someone else. Because the chapter that hurt you, it does not automatically disqualify you. And sometimes it helped you develop the authority that you now carry. Powerhouse, do not leave this conversation inspired, and do not leave this conversation unchanged either. Take this lesson, make the decision, use your voice, come off mute, come out of the shadows, step off the sidelines, and show up in the rooms that need you and your voice. The mic is on, your voice matters. Now unmute it. I'm Dr. Rita Reneé, and this is Unmute the Mic, where conversations matter, and so does your voice. Bye bye.